Hey everyone, and welcome to the VRverse. This is a podcast that has moved over to Twitch. For those who don't know, I did lose access to my YouTube, so we are going to be going live from now on over on Twitch. And this is classic season 2. I thought move over to Twitch. We did years of episodes over on YouTube. The reason it's come on over here is YouTube banned me for no apparent reason. I was outside my control. Now they've gone radio silent on my appeal, so I'm just waiting to find the next steps there. But this is why it's over on here. It'll be coming over here. I mean, even if I get my YouTube back, I might bring it live all the time over here, just for better interaction with people than pre-recording and putting it out. So let's just jump on. So yeah, welcome to episode 1 of season 2. We are here with c0ldvengeance, good friend.
How you doing?
And VR streamer. And we're here to talk about 2022.
Yeah, an interesting year in VR, but I'm glad to be here for the season 2, episode 1, new format. You know, I mean, it's always good to come and see what it's like behind the scenes, and it's certainly looking very Christmassy, I must say. Mm-hmm. Gets me right in the mood, but it's good to be here.
A nice Christmas show.
Yeah, fantastic job you've done on the place.
So yeah. What we're going to do, we're just going to jump over calls. We're going to ask him a few questions, really. I'll aim some questions at you just around yourself and things. So, first of all, what I'd like to start with is, what got you into virtual reality? Like, what brought you into this area?
So, I'll be completely honest with you. VR wasn't on my radar at the start at all, and then obviously friend of the channel, Paul, he sent me some information on Oculus's DK1 because of their Kickstarter, and it was really interesting, and it immediately grabbed my attention, and I went for it out of Kickstarter, but I bought it anyway. And then once that came, I was messing around with the DK1, and it absolutely blew my mind. And then I went on to the DK2, and then I went on to the Vive, and from there I went on to the Index, and obviously I got a Quest as well. But initially it was introductions. I was shown VR from another person. He said, look how amazing this is, and then I had to just try it for myself, and I was blown away. So initially, I think I was probably not quite at the very, very start of the VR explosion of the DK1, but close enough that I can say that I was. I feel like I've been here through the whole journey from the DK1 all the way up to now. So and what a journey it's been, eh? Been fantastic. I mean, look at us now sitting here from the DK1 days. It's just like unbelievable. Yeah. So that's how I think I would say I started my journey, and how I got into VR. So thanks, Paul.
So many people know actually, if they didn't watch it over on YouTube, they don't know. My journey started on PlayStation VR. That was where I got into virtual reality. That was my first experience. And like yourself, as soon as you're in there and you've had that experience, it's just like you don't want to go back to the standard.
No, absolutely not.
But yeah. So as I mentioned at the beginning, you do Twitch streams and things like this. Well, you do streams and things. Do you want to let people know where they can find you?
Well, Twitch. If you Twitch TV /c0ldvengeance. I would be streaming right now. This is one of my Monday. I've pivoted to a wheel stream, which is like a random kind of wheel stream, but usually it's like a horror. Thank you very much, 13, for the link. I do like horror streaming on it's just that kind of fear that you get inside of VR that I've never experienced watching movies or anything like that. And also I feel like it's great. It's great viewing for other people to see. Yeah. So and then I do co-op streams on a Friday with Bowl, which I've mentioned before. And that's how I actually started. So I was streaming. I was playing with Bowl before streaming, and Bowl's been streaming for. I couldn't even tell you when. It feels like forever. And then he suggested we do some streaming with the VR Souls. Mm-hmm. And I think that was one of the first streams I ever done, was the Iron Wolf stream with were you part of that? I think maybe you were the one I was filling in for at the time.
Yeah, you were the one. I was on your
that's it. And that was my first and that was my first stream, and I was nervous as hell. And but it was amazing, it was great, and I got into it and enjoyed it, immensely. And I think you guys had me back quite a few times after that. And then I decided, we should change our just our normal playing on a Friday or a Wednesday. I can't remember when it was, and then we should do streaming, and that's how basically it all became. And then that was co-op, and then I moved into solo streaming because I done what I call a method stream. Now, a method stream, in my opinion, which is no one else says this but me, is where I dive into the character like an actor would. Yeah. So I done a method stream of Subnautica in a hot tub with all my scuba gear on, and that was the first time, I think, around the time I done solo streaming, and then from there I done it on a Monday. Mm-hmm. So it's been quite an interesting journey, I'd say. I've done a few of those streams, but I actually do really enjoy it way more than I thought I'd do. At the time, dead nervous, but now it's pretty good. Nice group of people.
Once you get into it, isn't it? It's to get rid of those sort of nerves when you start. I know if I always go back to my I can't now, but if I go back to my first YouTube videos where I'm just starting, and you listen to it back, you're like, God, I sound so nervous. I'm so quiet and so hi. You're just like, what's going on here?
I mean, strangely enough, I feel like streaming has actually helped me a lot in actual life. I would be scared of talking in public, and to be fair, I think I am a little bit, but I've come way out my shell, and I feel like I can actually, string a sentence together now in front of other people without getting nervous and So streaming is actually helped me a lot mentally as well, which is not something I didn't think it would do, but it really does.
Yeah.
So, and also being in VR as well really helps. You feel like your body's there and people can see you. Yeah, of course. So it was like a virtual step into the unknown, which I'm very thankful for VR and streaming and everyone who watches, of course.
So with this being the first test of a live one, what we'll likely be doing at the end is we'll open it if people have questions about stuff they want to ask. We'll open it at the end rather than cutting out the conversation. So I'll let you know when we're going to start taking questions just before, so you can all start to ask. It's the first test doing it live. You might find a better process than this. This is the first one that's live, so we will have some teething issues, as I say, in the way it runs.
I mean, VR streamers and teething issues, they go completely hand in hand. I mean, I can't think of a single VR streamer that doesn't have a problem at some point. It just happens.
Especially if your name's Dr. Oculus and you were using the Quest. That was definitely an issue.
They were fun times.
They were good times.
They are.
So what we'll do now, we're going to be talking about the 2022 in VR. Obviously, it's the end of the year. It's been another whole year of being involved in VR for both of us, and I think it's just good to talk about what's been happening. A general recap. Look at our favourite games from the year. Talk about them. Look at some things that are crazy. We'll just go on. If you've never listened to one of these before, just this just basically goes like a pub chat. We know games we're going to talk about, but it's not going to have any logical sense in wave order.
Yeah, no.
I just to treat these like you're in a pub with your mate. Easiest way to do it, I think.
And I think I need a beer, but we'll do that.
Use a beer. It's the way it goes. But yeah, we were going to let's see. The first thing I want to talk about is I know I didn't tell you this, is something that comes from the VR. Well, the Upload showcase. Obviously, we've had a few games announced there that we weren't expecting. A lot of it was just updated trailers of what we know that's coming. But one thing that, and I've never spoke about these on the show before, is Joyway. Because obviously,
right.
Obviously,
I wonder where this is going. Go on.
They're just a team that I've looked, and they just never seem to finish a game. Never. Right. And they make the next one, they started with Stride, and then they're like, oh, we're going to do Time Hackers, and then we're going to do Against, we're going to do Outliner, or Outlander, whatever, which is cancelled because there was too much work. They were doing too much at once because none of these earlier games have ever been finished.
Right.
And then at Upload, obviously they cancelled that other one for that, but then at Upload they've announced that they're working on 2 new games.
Right, of course, well, why cancel one when you can cancel 2, or see how it goes.
None of those previous ones I mentioned before that are finished.
Yeah. So what are the 2 games? I'm completely new to this. I have no idea what you're going to say. So
there's one called Red Flower, which looks a bit like Ghost Runner.
Okay.
The flat screen Ghost Runner, all about keeping your momentum, slicing bullets out the air, cutting people in half and stuff. It just looks like a VR version of that. And the other one's like a multiplayer, like shooter type thing, but you're using like a blade you throw. And I'm just like, to me, I'm just like, I fail to get hype for them because I'm like, they're never going to get finished. We'll probably get one level on Red Flower, then they'll never update it. It's like, I
mean, we might get a demo. We might get a demo at least.
There's demos on App Lab already for it.
Okay.
But I don't think there'll be much more than a demo when it's released.
Right. So is this a Quest game? Because again, I'm sure I didn't see the.
I'm not sure because they seem to release it on their games on everything, on every platform.
Right.
But this one wasn't. They just said the demo's available on App Lab.
Right. Okay.
So I don't know whether this one's going to be a Quest on its own. But yeah, that's the only other thing I want to talk about in 2022 is the rise of the Quest. I know it's a good headset. I know it's the cheapest headset. Well, Pico's actually cheaper than it now. But again, I upload every trailer seemed to start like with the Meta Quest and then turn around and it zooming in, and I thought it's got an uprise. But PC VR, what's going on?
Well, what do you think of the Quest Pro? I mean, is it in your sights, or is it something that you're just going to see and then wait for the Quest 3? Is that what your plans are, do you think?
The only thing that's sort of interested me in when they announced the Quest Pro was the fact that it had facial eye tracking, but I don't need that. So it sort of went straight off my radar. Like, no, I'm not.
I've seen a lot of videos on the Quest Pro, the Pro, and it does look amazing on its pass-through. Like, that's the main thing that I want to try it for. I want to try it for its pass-through and just, see what kind of cool things I can try out. But I've got no interest in playing VR games in it. I want to just try that. I've got the Quest 2. The Quest 2 is something that I can play now and then. It's not my go-to VR headset, as you probably know. It's the Index. But I do want to try that pass-through. I don't know how I'm going to try it. Maybe I'll go somewhere when we go to an expo or something, we can try it. But that does look pretty cool. But other than that, I guess I'll keep an eye out for the Quest 3. But at the moment, Index and Quest 2, I'm happy with.
Yeah. Got no reason to buy the Quest Pro. Like I said, I've got the Quest 2. I've still played plenty of stuff on that. Not saying it's a bad headset or anything. It's good for what it does, but I just wish. I know there's the market share, so it's business sense to develop for that, but it seems now it's developed for that and then sort of upscaled for PC.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Like, I hear too many stories of games that have moved over to Quest 2, or rather they've paused development on the PC VR and then they're developing on the Quest 2. One of the games that sticks out for me was Zero Caliber.
Yeah.
So I really like that game, and then they paused it because they wanted to work on the Quest version, and then the Quest version got more content, and everyone was like, well, hang on, like the PC VR, there's Discord and it's specifically the PC VR version of that game, and everyone in there is complaining and we're not getting anything. Why is that? And it's clearly obvious that that's where the money is, so they want to pump it through there. But it's frustrating to see as a PC VR Index user that is happening more and more. But I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
So other hardware, I was hoping we might know more about it ahead of this, like officially about it. Was obviously Vive. As a Vive user who uses a lot of the Vive products, I was hoping we might know what they've been teasing for the last month.
Do they still tease like that? Do they? That's the one thing about the Vive, isn't it? The Vive, their marketing is so strange, and it never seems to hit the mark. It just always seems to kind of like shoot over, and you're like, I see what you're trying to do, but we've seen it like 50 times before.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then when the product finally comes out, but that's me as a index user. I guess it's different for you as a Vive user. I mean, does it hit that mark when you finally see the product after the teasing?
Not always.
I mean, the Vive Eye, clearly did for you, but
the facial tracker did as well. But again, everyone thought that was going to be a headset because all the little shots they were giving of it, close-ups. Like, oh, they released a new headset, and like, oh, we're just releasing a facial tracker and Vive trackers Pux 3.0. These are what.
Yeah, true.
But the straight away, I think, as soon as they put up the first tease on this, Mike from VRverse was like, "This better be a headset," and they responded to him straight away saying, "Yes, it is. It's a new headset."
Yeah, I mean, they have it coming, don't they?
Yeah. But it'd be interesting to see, obviously, what comes from this. Hopefully, we'll get. I mean, I know that sadly, Bradley's been looking into it, and he's saying it's like going to be a cross between the Focus and the Flow in like one headset, which.
Yeah, he's like the go-to guy right now for hardware, isn't he?
Yeah. I see what
he's doing really well in that respect.
Normally, if Bradley's bringing it up, it's normally going to happen.
He's never normally that wrong, is he?
No.
That's what's good. I like it.
I mean, he got the concept made with his dig-in with someone for the 3D model for the Quest Pro, and it just looked like it's concepted. But yeah, so really speaking, we've got Pico on the scene now from 2022, with the Pico 4. I think the Pico 3, did the Pico 3 come out last year near the end, and it was just sort of like.
I haven't seen a lot of hype about the 4. Yeah.
To me, the 3 was more like dipping the toe in the water, because as soon as they announced the 3, they were like, if you buy one in Europe, because it was obviously always out in Pico 2 and things out in Asia. But when it brought to Europe, it was like, if you buy a Pico 3 Link or Pico 3, you get money 20% off the Pico 4. So right. I think in the head they always had this was them dipping the toe in the European and the Western market, because it was like, if you buy this, we'll give you 20% off, and you keep the old model, you keep the Pico 3, but you get 20% off the Pico 4. Which I think, like I said, just dipping the toe in the water in the Western market. And the Pico 4 came out. I see quite a few people talking about it. I still see some that still use it as well, like as what they do now. To like driver now.
Yeah, I mean, again, not a headset I've even remotely had a chance to look at. And I think I need to get out to more expos this year or next year, shall I say. To check out this hardware and stuff. Yeah. Hopefully there'll be a bit of a presence in these expos, but fingers crossed. If I could cross my fingers, I would.
Yeah, I think we're going to get some. It's a challenge for the Quest, a challenger, but
that's good. Yeah, that's what it does need, a good standalone challenger, and we've not really seen too many that, although they've claimed to be standalones, they've never actually become standalone.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see.
But I think a lot of the problem is like the people who are invested in the standalone market already have the Quest. Like Dr. Oculus, he's got the Pico, but I know his view at times it is like, why am I going to buy the same games again now on the Pico? Which why would you if you've got them on a standalone already? And I think that's why it's
got a head start, haven't they? Yeah.
To bring the old Quest users over to Pico, because a lot of them will be. Well, I've already got this massive library on the Quest.
Yeah, true. I mean, with the release of the Steam Deck, and seeing games easily ported over to a portable market, do you think the Valve will ever release a standalone headset and use that kind of transfer over to the standalone of existing games? I mean, that's what I'm looking at the Steam Deck and thinking, they can do it with that.
Yeah.
So is it possible? I mean, maybe not. I mean, Valve don't seem to be, other than hearing it from sadly it's Bradley, I'm not getting too much from Valve other than they're working on something.
Yeah, they keep getting codename Deckard in the Steam VR like updates and stuff, but
then you get mixed messages. Like now you go into Steam and the VR section has changed, so you can't, differentiate games between VR stands, room scale or stand in, and other things like that. And they've changed that. So it's like, well, do you want to push VR forward, or do you want to now look at the Steam Deck, or let's see what happens, I guess.
I noticed on the as well on Steam we've lost the whole. Oh no, sorry, it's got like tracked motion controller, like Legacy is a separate thing away from the controllers, and I was like,
that's it, yeah.
So what?
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying. Yeah, even in the store page, you now can't filter in the store between those categories unless you've already done it and you know the URL, which I have. So I can still do it, but it's not easy to do using the interface anymore. That's how I always used to sort out my games, to work out what games are co-op and room standing and things like that. So luckily I've still got those favorites, so I can do that, but you can't do it using the interface anymore, which is a shame. But I do like my co-op games and my room standing games. I've got a few I'm going to be talking about.
And I think the last really bit of hardware that's making the splash is PlayStation VR 2. We got a lot more information about that this year.
Yeah. I mean, I'd love to get one. The problem I've got is I don't have a PlayStation 5.
Yeah.
And that whole bundle for me is going to be super expensive.
Yeah.
I'm hoping there's going to be some kind of bundle that's going to come out with the digital PS5 and the PlayStation VR 2, and it's going to be affordable. But I mean, let's be honest, we can't all shove this under the rug. It is a expense. It's difficult at the moment for people financially.
Yeah, definitely.
So that kind of package, even outside of my budget, and it wouldn't normally be. So I'm thinking maybe it's going to be the same for other people, But then we'll see. I mean, the PlayStations, can you still buy Can you buy the PlayStation 5s now? Are they back on the shelves?
I don't think they're the level of you can just walk in the shop and buy one still.
Yeah, I mean, it's the whole hardware thing this year is gonna been very strange. Even with the graphics cards, you couldn't get one for love nor money. I mean, that's changed now, but we'll see when it does come out. Do we have a price yet? We don't, do we?
Yeah, 500.
We do, yeah.
49 or 599.
Yeah, so the bundle's going to be probably around about.
You're looking.
I don't know, 800.
Yeah,
I mean, it's still cheaper than I pay for the Index if that's the case. So.
Yeah, but I think even the consoles are 300 odd, aren't they? So you're probably looking around like coming up 900 plus for a bundle. And I think if you're already invested in PC VR, like for PC VR use, and you've already got the up to date computer, you can, like yourself, you might think, I don't have the outlay now, but then maybe the deck card's out and it's 600 quid for the headset. You don't need the controllers if you've got in, and would you then think actually it will stick to PC VR? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it will. I mean, it all depends on the games they released. If they have some kind of AAA game that's coming out that I'm like, oh, I need this, I need it, I'll find a way to work. I'll get a credit card or something. I don't know. Yeah. I'll just find a way. But I guess it comes down to the game. If I see the game and it's like, I need this, and then you're like, I've got this game, I want to play it, and I'm like, I want this game as well. I want to play it with you because it's a card game. Crap. Okay, Barclay card. 24 months interest free. Great. I'll do that. Paul, see you tomorrow. We'll see how it goes.
So I've got the PlayStation 5 already. I got my PlayStation 5 console because I didn't manage to get a graphics card because I thought I'm going to pre-order like 30 series card, and obviously that all went mad, and I was just like, I'm never going to get one of them for a long time. I've got the money there. PlayStation 5's out. Pre-orders are out soon. And then I missed the PlayStation 5 pre-orders, but Argos, if you're not from the UK, like a UK sells everything type of store. Like a catalogue store basically. They weren't putting theirs on pre-order till the day after, so me and 13 stayed up stayed on a whole 3.
You basically all night there.
Till about 2 in the morning, because I said they were going to go live at midnight, and then we were all like hammering them, saying like on Twitter, people were saying, well, they're not live yet. They're going, it's going to be like 1 a.m. And then eventually about 2 a.m. they said it's going to be like 5 a.m. So I said, I'm going to bed and setting my alarm, and I'm getting up at 5. And I think it was like, I said in the chat that I think it was about 6 a.m. by the time I went live. But I managed to get one.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, I when it comes to pre-ordering stuff, like VR is a little bit of an exception because it's quite niche, and therefore you can usually do it. But in general, pre-ordering stuff, as soon as it's released, whether it's a phone, whether it's a console, or anything like that, I find it's the most stressful thing in the world. And it's to the point almost where I hope Valve don't announce anything because I can't deal with that.
Yeah,
I can't deal with the page not loading, the payment not going through.
Yeah.
It's a struggle. But it's almost to a point now where I'm like, no, I've got the index. It's the best they've got out at the moment. I'm happy with it. Don't release something else because then I won't have the best. Anyway,
well, managed to get one. So obviously, I will probably get a PlayStation VR, but I'm going to wait for them to go live in stores for pre-orders, so I can just go and get it on the day. Hopefully, like Gamer Argos will be the one I'll be keeping an eye out for their pre-orders when they can actually start pre-ordering them, and I'll grab one from there.
That's a good idea.
And then we're going to end up getting some. That's it. There has been some random ones announced. We don't really know much about them. To talk about them really, like the one I think they're made by the people who make the zero latency stuff, like guns and stuff. I think they're bringing a headset out. Some people are getting hands on it to try, but there's not really much known about it, so there's no point really talking about them. Those, can't even think what it was called. I'll wait till. Oh, sorry, that was me kicking the wheel on my chair. Have you heard that? So yeah, we'll find that out. I'll be more interested in that when more information comes out about them in general. So really, that's it for hardware in 2022. It's been quite a crazy year. But I think 2021 suffered the same problem. A lot of hardware and a lot of games, but not any not a massive collection of top level games come out.
Yeah, I mean, what was your game of the year, would you say?
So my game of the year for this year is, it won the VR Game Awards and the just general Game Awards. Moss Book 2 is my game of the year.
I've got it, not played it yet, but, I'm looking forward to that one.
Yeah, so if you don't know what Moss Book 2 is, Moss Book 2 is like it's a platformer. If you've not played Moss 1, it is a puzzle platformer where you've got control of a little mouse, the cutest thing in VR, Quill, your little companion. You can you control her while you're a reader, and you've got orbs for your hands, and you can manipulate the environment, or move stuff with a stun. All this just to help her get around the environment while using her to fight, and obviously platform and take out enemies. She's always been a favourite of a lot of people in VR. A lot of people love Quill, myself included. And basically, you just gotta. You can't really say much about it without ruining it. But that's the general idea of Moss. What they've done with number 2 is they took everything they did great with number 1, and number 1 was loved by many. They took every element from that and just increased it. It's one where it's carrying on the story, but it feels like a true sequel. There's improvements. They've took bits of feedback they've had from the first one and made sure they were right in the second one, added extra elements to it in order to keep it not just copy and paste. You can get different abilities by collecting the glasses that you need to collect in there, and it just basically gets to a point.
So the gameplay in Moss, right? And I haven't played this type of game since Lucky's Tale, I think it was.
Yeah.
It's where you're the overall controller of the character, but I guess you can interact with the environment. I didn't play Moss Book 1 either, and but I have got Moss Book 2. It was gifted to me kindly by Dr. Oculus, but I will play this. But yeah, like I said, I haven't played this since Lucky Tale, and I don't know if it's the same, so correct me if it's completely different and everything, but that's what it feels like. So in my head, it was like, oh yeah, I did that at the start. That was the early VR gaming for me. So I kind of like moved off from there and went into room standing games, and room scale games and things like that. And then this game came out, and I was like, that looks really pretty, it looks amazing, but that's old, right? We did that before, and now this is like, okay, right, maybe I don't want to do that. But then it's just exploded, and everyone's talking about how great this gaming, and then I'm getting a bit of FOMO and thinking, whoa, this thing is really good.
So you're sort of on the sort of thing with the Super Lucky's Tale. I know when I bought my CV1, because I didn't know Revive was a thing, so I went out and brought CV1 so I could play their exclusives. And obviously, Super Lucky's Tale wasn't exclusive to Oculus at the time. I think it's now on Steam as well, like a revamped version of it. But yeah, it's very Super Lucky's Tale in the way you're the overseer of the world. You're controlling platforms are built up in the world. You can lean into the world. But what they did, which Super Lucky Tale didn't do for me, was they connected you to that character. Because you have to help by manipulating the environment, or if she takes damage, you have to grab her and pick her up to heal her.
Right. So do you play a character in the game, or you're just a general overseer with no name, and you're
the reader? So it's told like a storybook,
right?
And you're the reader is your character, and you've got a presence in the world. So I know, like on the PC version, I don't think it happens on the Quest version. If you're in an environment with water and you look down, you see your mask, that blue mask, which is you. So you've sort of got presence in the world as well.
Gotcha.
And doing all
you're creating the story for reading the story, kind of thing. I understand now. Yeah.
Yeah. So they've like animated Quill, absolutely fantastic. The animation in the character, she feels real, like the way she's animated looks real, where she's moving. Mm-hmm. Obviously, you've got to, like I said, she's tiny. You've got to pull all the things out. You've got to heal her. So you actually like get a bond to her, which I think is what Lucky's Tale missed. Lucky's Tale was a platformer. You didn't really feel any bond.
So it felt like you've got this real life creature that's your companion.
Yeah,
that's what it feels like. Yeah, okay, yeah. I understand.
It's the first VR game where I've actually. Luckily, I wasn't playing it on stream. I was playing it to review the first playthrough, flying through it, and. Like playing it to review ahead of release, and there's a part in it, I'm not going to say what, but there's a part in it which actually made me cry inside my headset, and I took the headset off because I was like, I don't want to break it because I'm.
the eye tracking is just going all bonkers, it doesn't know what's going on.
It was the PlayStation at the time, because it was like the first one. I think PlayStation funded some of the first one, so they got like an exclusive time period, and they kept this exclusive time period for the second one. But yeah, I was just like, I'm crying inside. I don't want to break this.
Well, I will be playing this game. It will pop up on one of my wheel streams as it's a gift. So, and I'm pretty sure I will carry that one on and play a few streams. Yeah,
so that's my game of the year this year of 2022. What's the best thing you played this year?
Okay, so I mean, it will come as no surprise to anyone who knows me, but previously one of my favorite games was The Forest. I've spent probably about 40 hours in The Forest playing co-op in VR, and then I heard of this other game that's going to come out. It was a port of an original game called The Green Hell. I'm sure everyone's heard it. So this was Green Hell VR, and I don't know, maybe I'm one of those people that I already know that I'm going to love this game. Right, I'm seeing it, and even if there's problems with performance or there's problems with issues, I've almost decided I'm going to look past all that and I'm going to enjoy this game. And this game, I did enjoy, and it was there was a few hiccups. Like there was a problem with, like when you get damaged, you'd get like a reddish tint over your eyes, and streaming that's really awkward because you've got the mixed eye view, so you get it in the stream. It's a bit annoying, but I fixed all that with mods and I battled through, and I pretty much went into Green Hell and completed the whole thing over about maybe about 4 or 5 streams, maybe a bit more. But it's one of the only games that I went back to outside of streaming. So I would stream and I'd get to a point where I found this encampment and it's like, oh wow, this encampment, it looks great. I've got all this potential. I'm not going to do that on stream. I'm going to do that off stream. I'm going to build my camp out. I'm going to make sure this is great and all that. And then the next stream I go in and go, right, this is what I've done. It was like, building homes, I built this for you. I built that for you. And the concept of the game as well, so the idea is you visit the jungle with, I believe it's your wife or girlfriend. She then goes off and meets a local tribe and becomes part of their existence. That lives with them, works with them, does that, and then you get into a scenario where you are looking for her and you can't find her, and then you fall down and hit your head and you wake up and you're all injured, and that's where the game starts. And then you have to go out and find things, craft things, get yourself all healed up. The first half hour of the game is just constant death. Everything wants to kill you. See that plant over there? I walk past it. Yeah, I'm dead. It's just stung me. See that mound over there? That's got ants in it. Yeah, I'm dead. Right? If you can get past all that, it's great. But you literally the first half hour to an hour of the game, you die literally from everything. And then as the game goes on, you start to learn about the Green Hell, and you go through different sections and you open up the map, and it's a huge map. And then you without spoiling everything, you start to realize what's happening, and there's this whole backstory of why you're there and why you're still there. And wait, this seems familiar. Have I done this before? Haven't I done this before? It's very confusing. So it's very story orientated. Like the forest wasn't. It was, well, I mean, it was, but it just felt like, you just ran around killing things. There was a story there as well. But this one it feels all about the story. Like she's constantly talking to you, and it feels like I am visiting a real Green Hell. So that was probably the best game I'd played all year, and that's why I think that one is that's why I think that was my game of the year. And I don't know if you played much of it. I know some other people play it and they didn't get on with it. It was a bit too performance struggling, but like I said, I just kind of decided I was going to look all past that and just get into the nitty gritty and become one with the Green Hell. Yes. And did you play much of it?
So I started on the quest. Gave me a chance. The route messaged me saying, would you mind reviewing it on the quest?
Right, yeah.
I was like, yeah,
that's the thing. There are 2 versions of the game as well. They're completely different. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, oh, not a problem. Like you said, I found out it's different because I played the demo at Steam, Neckfest, where it was very performance heavy, and I mean, I really worked on that after that, getting told. And where you fall off you don't actually climb up where you get the rope. You don't actually get that, and then you're just falling into yourself. And I'm just like, so that was all a bit different. But I know I played so much of it thinking, and then my battery was running out, and then I found a point in a cave where you could, or just in shelter where you could build a fire and a bed. So I built all that thinking, right, I've built all that. I thought it's like the forest. I've built that. I've clicked on it. It's done. And I turned it back on and I hadn't saved because I hadn't actually slept. And I was just like, no. So I didn't go back to it.
I mean, everything in that game was to kill you, including the save, the save in progress, But from what I know, I didn't play the quest, but from what I understand, the quest version, you would craft things how you would actually craft them in real life. So you would grab like a stick, and then you'd cut it all off, and then you grab something else, and then you do the physical movement to tie it all out. Yeah, and then you create it, and you're like, oh, I actually felt like I made that. The PC VR version that I was using, you just take one thing, you take another thing, you put it on a table, you click a button, and it creates it.
All right, no, yeah, you need it to bring sticks and stuff.
Yeah, yes. No, I don't know whether or not that was, that was better or worse. To have it just click in, but it certainly made the experience a lot more streamlined. I could get through it quickly.
Yeah. So the next thing we did was, speaking about games coming over, from standard to VR. We obviously coming at the end of this year, we got Among Us.
Right. Okay. Among Us. Yeah. I played that in the VR chat version, doesn't it? Yeah. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I played it in VR chat. I played it around in Neos because Neos has got an Among Us as well.
Okay.
And that's the only thing. I never ever played the flat screen version. That was my few rounds in VR chat when we streamed it. I believe we were in the one when we streamed it with Zim and people.
Yep. Zim was in there as well, and 13 was in there. Yeah.
Everyone else was in there. Ball, you, 13. Was Doc there then? I mean, there was a group of us. Yeah.
Yep. I think everyone was pretty much there. Buck was in there.
Yeah.
A whole lot.
So we streamed over on there, and then I tried a few rounds in the Neos version. Fortunately, when I came to play the Neos version, they just ran an update on some of the engine, some of the physics in the engine, and it got to a point where tasks started to crash. So the way they built it, the new engine, the new updates had done to the engine, just sort of decided once you've done the task, your locomotion disabled on your character.
Right.
So although we got to play it, sometimes people were just stood there until someone went in and pressed the button in the middle and freed them from the restraints of being stuck on the spot, basically. What would you say was better at the Neos one than the VR chat one? I'd say the tasks felt a bit more in Neos.
Right. Okay.
The tasks were a bit better designed, but obviously with Neos, when you get a lot of people in a room, performance does become a thing. Like people's frames start to drop, and you don't really get that in VR. We didn't get that in the VR chat version.
Right. Yeah.
And then we had obviously Shell Games publishing the official one. We've got an official version of it now.
And you played that one, haven't you?
I've played I think I've got about 12 hours in it, I think. But yeah, that really, it's fantastic. You've got to get in with friends. One thing I'll say is you want to get in with at least a good group of friends, open it to public. Because there's a lot of kids. There's a lot of kids.
So now that you've played that one as well, would you say that one was the best one, or would you still say, maybe Neos's?
Oh no, there's the one that's been made of the official one is like 100 times better. 100 times better than the other ones.
Okay.
It just works so well. But you want to, like I said, you want to try and get in a room with a good group of people even if you open the last few spots, because you can still kick people out of the game by using the kick system in the game.
Right.
Because you get a lot of kids.
So I believe there is a potential game on the horizon that I will be playing for Among Us. I never actually was the imposter on the time I played the VR chat, so I never actually got to experience it. So hopefully when we play again, there might be a chance that I get to be the imposter. I know some people have. Some people might prefer that because then you're always innocent.
Yeah.
But I don't mind trying to deceive people in the guise of a game for enjoyment. I reckon I'll be all right. I reckon I can convince you that I am not the imposter, and you will definitely end up out of the airlock.
So I've won a few as imposter, in the standard. There's one I lost, and again we had some kids in. I think Ori's just said in the chat there. With the official one, you can open a private lobby, get everyone in, and then open it for the last few spots, and then make it an open lobby. Unfortunately, once you've opened it, you can't make it private again. You'd have to start a new lobby if you wanted to get someone else in. vote to kick someone out who's just a random, and hope that they're getting in time. I know we did that one night. I was playing with a couple of people who I knew, and we had like 8 out of the 10. We had 2 randoms in, so we kicked a random out because someone came on their stream and wanted to jump in. But by the time they'd put the game code in, another random had joined, and it was just like, kick them out and try and get this person in. And we went on for ages, and then I was thinking it would have probably just been easier to just open a new lobby. But in that time, you don't think it would be quicker. You'd think kick someone out, get them in.
I will be looking forward to that one.
There's some kids that have come in that have been absolutely fine. Like, I know you have the idea of the kids are going to drive you mad, but some of them come in and play, but then some come in and they scream and just go mad when you're going to kick them out and stuff, and it's just like kick them out the airlock when you're voting again. Even if especially when they're not the imposter, they seem to just like want to scream at everyone, and you sometimes just get them out.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, when that option is up, I'll definitely be up for that if it's available.
So the one game that really annoyed me when we were in there, we had a group of people, and then opened it for the last few randoms, and there was me left as the imposter and 2 LMs. Right. So basically, we just needed one more voted out for like me to win. And I'd made up this whole elaborate story, explained it all to them, like I did this, blah 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 blah. And then the other guy the guy who took charge of the meeting around the table was like, who reported the body, went, so what's your story? To the other one, and he just went, well, my girlfriend's in the same game and he killed her. And I was just like, oh, right, yeah, because that's I still try to get around it, saying, well, yeah, I can't argue with that, can I? Because his girlfriend saw it, and then the other guy was like, yeah, it was you, and voted me out, and I thought, that's not the point of this game.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'd actually be more on the in the spirit of the games if he was just lying about the whole, the girlfriend wasn't actually in there, and he just made up that someone was in there and telling him, But to actually get correct information and then pass it over from the background, that's not right.
I mean, I was watching Mo's VR player earlier, and Ori was in there with him, and her daughter watched Mo's stream and told her, obviously, it's him. But then Ori just didn't ever put the blame on him because she knew. She'd been told that information, so she never ever, round, she never put the blame on him as being the imposter. She was like, blah, blah, like she never once said, my daughter's told me, because she knows how to play the game. She's not going to ruin it by saying, oh yeah, I've been told it's him. They're watching his stream.
Exactly. I mean, it's just then you've got someone that's actually there to play the game properly. Yeah. So yes, well done, Pinkori, for that.
I mean, I didn't actually realise, because when I first joined, I didn't realise Moz was the imposter, and they were on the voting part, and I was like, just tell everyone to vote Ori out, because she's always sus, get rid of her. But then I realised he was the imposter. She'd actually told him afterwards that she knew it was him, because his daughter had told her. She actually told him after it was over. I mean, the imposters won that one as well.
I will win as the imposter, I swear. I will try.
So yeah, I've won quite a few as the imposter. I didn't think I ever would. I always thought I'm just gonna laugh when I'm telling people. When I'm lying, I'll just end up laughing and stuff.
You got this demeanor of trust about you, Paul. That's what this is. We can't ever think no. Paul's a nice guy. He definitely couldn't have killed me.
I was actually playing with a friend, Pap, and I followed her, and I was just like, I'll watch you back. I finished all my tasks, and she had 2 more tasks to do. I was like, I'll just come with you, and I'll watch you back. And then she got to one where it's like Simon Says, and you've got to press the button, the things that are light up, follow the thing. And I went, this is the worst one, because this is so easy for an imposter to kill you on, because you're concentrating. She was like, yeah, no, and I was like, kill. And I actually won that round, and she was going mad at me in a lobby, saying she's never going to trust me again.
Yeah, it's the friends we make along the way. Well, I mean, yeah, I definitely would play a bit of Among Us when I get the chance. But one game that I would also like to talk about, I played this year, is I don't know if you played it yet, but Beanstalker.
Nope.
No, Beanstalker.
I'm gonna quote Ball. I've got this one, but I've never played it.
That's what we all need to do. We all need to have these games, just never play them. Because, what's better than to have this huge collection of stuff that you could play, but I don't want to. That's always the best option. It's better to have it all there and not want to play it than want to play it and it not be there.
Yeah,
so that's what we do. So Beanstalker is something that it started out as a single player game and then they released co-op. So me and Bowl on our co-op Friday nights, we thought, yeah, we'll jump into that. And it is a pretty good game. So you just basically, it's as simple as that. You start off and there's this huge beanstalk in front of you and you get these hooking, climbing things and you climb up to the top. And then what I like about it most is the higher up you go, the better resources there are, and then you collect the resources, but you can't really get that much higher because the enemies are quite tough. So therefore, you have to back out. You unlock checkpoints, back out, craft a new weapon or a new tool and all that, which means then you can go back in, and now you've got the facility to get up and not be absolutely destroyed by all these new creatures. So it's like a kind of it's like a progression through height.
Yeah.
So, I mean, going back to a previous game like Subnautica, what I liked about Subnautica is a progression, but through depth. Yeah. So you couldn't get deeper because you'd have to make stuff. And this is like that, but the opposite. And as you go up the beanstalk, you unlock checkpoints, and you get different kind of weapons and you collect different kind of foods. And then once you get to the top, you have a boss battle on the top of the beanstalk, and then you've done that, and then you can unlock another beanstalk in another location, and then you do it all again. But now obviously there's different materials and different plants and different enemies and the newer ones, and they're a lot harder. And this game gets extraordinarily difficult.
Yeah.
You can literally just shoot up as much as you can and unlock all the checkpoints, because at one point we were getting so destroyed, we were like, should we just speedrun it? We'll just speedrun it all the way top, and then we can spawn on any location we want, and then we'll just do the crafting. And I think we've unlocked 3 beanstalks, and we haven't gone back to it recently, and I don't know why we haven't. I mean, it is a great game. I just feel like it is too difficult.
Yeah.
But then I kind of like that because I think there's nothing worse than a game that's too easy, right? Yeah. A game that's too difficult, I'm okay with, as long as I know that if I put some effort into it, I can unlock things that will give me more power, and then it won't be too difficult. I mean, if it's just like like the old school Nintendo games or Sega games that were just impossibly difficult, and you have to practice skills and the movements and stuff like that. That kind of difficult I don't like. Yeah. Because I don't think I could ever get that skill base to progress. But this is different. This is just a matter of persistence.
Yeah.
Collect the resources, make the weapons, take the weapons out, get more resources, make more weapons, then go out and then just shoot that spider in the head and go, you weren't so difficult.
Yeah.
And that's why I really like that game, and we need to go back and play that. And it's 4-player co-op as well. Oh. You can easily jump in with us if you wanted to, and even if you're like kind of you haven't got the resources, you haven't got the stuff, it's something we can give you. Like, oh, here you go, have this, have that, have this. We'll pass it to you. You collect it all up, and then you can almost rank yourself up by us giving it to you if you wanted to play where we are. Failing that, you can just grab hold of our back. And we can carry you all the way up. You literally don't have to climb. We can do it all for you. It's just like, hang on, Paul, we're going to take you for a ride. And you're just hanging on the whole time. Go, wow, this is crazy. Right? It's a really good hidden gem that not too many people have played. And I would highly recommend it. We definitely need to go back in and play it, Bowl. We don't know why we're not. I guess because we've got too many other games that we want to play. But yeah,
I've seen you. I've seen you and Bowl play on the Friday streams, and it does look fun. It's just one I've never ever got around to playing.
It's a lot of effort as well. That's the thing. If you want to work out because I don't know what it is about climbing in VR, but you honestly feel like, oh God, this is actually quite difficult. Why is this so difficult? You know, you're in your living room doing it. You're not actually pulling your body weight up, but you're constantly doing it all the time, and your arms start aching. You're like, I'm absolutely knackered. Yeah. I felt like I've actually climbed this beanstalk. So that's the other thing is if you don't want to put the effort in, then maybe it's not a game for you, which I'm sure you will because you normally do, but other people maybe not. Yeah. Yeah, but I highly recommend that one. I mean, there's not too much else to say about Beanstalker. It's just one of those nice experiences, and the environment's great as well. You're on the top of that beanstalk, and you're just like looking out for miles and miles and miles and miles of like this environment, and you're looking up, and this beanstalk is massive. We're not talking like a little one. We're talking like the biggest thing you've ever seen. And so the scale in the game is really good because that's a few things I like about VR games is a scale. Serious Sam we played recently, the scale in that game is amazing. Another one of my favourite games is Jet Island. The scale in that game is... So this is quite a good scale game in terms of the environment. Maybe not the enemies, but the environment. Yeah. But yeah, highly recommend it.
Definitely I'm going to have a look at, definitely.
Yeah, that's good.
Then there's one that I know both of us play because you've streamed it on your regular Monday slot. And it's one that I absolutely loved, and even in when I reviewed it, I said it's like it's a game that's dragged me in the most in VR since Half-Life Alyx, and that is The Wanderer. Oh well, Wanderer. Sorry, it's not called The Wanderer. It's called The Wanderer.
Yeah, Wanderer.
Yeah.
Have you completed that game yet? Just checking.
I played it.
You have,
I played it to review. I played it over 2 days. I put like 10 hours in over 2 days because I just wanted to keep playing it. I played a few hours and thought I'll stop. And then went and had something to eat, and I was like, I need to go back and play more of that. And I think I did the 10 hours over 2 days, which I've never done for a long, long time.
I think I got stuck. I think that's the problem is I got stuck and I'm still stuck. So I haven't completed it yet. I just need to become unstuck. The problem with what I have is when we stream games, puzzle games can be awfully frustrating if you get stuck because it's not just you that's stuck. Is anyone watching you that's stuck? Yeah. And, as much as, everyone tries to help out, it's like, I beg almost sometimes, please help me, give me what I can do. Yeah. But I get more frustrated when I get stuck when I'm streaming than if not. But I'm not sure whereabouts I am. But, it's from what I played of it, a great concept. Yeah. I mean, do you want to go on? Do you want to tell us what the concept is and how it works? Yeah.
So the concept of this one is it's basically a puzzle game where you need to visit times. You basically got a device on your arm where you can put fragments in. You find fragments about like a memory fragment, so it might just be like a feather which you'll put in. It'll take you to a complete different time and a complete different place. Then you will then basically need to do stuff in that, or take items, put them in your inventory, and take them back into current time, or take items from current time into past times, and basically just work. It's hard to explain like how much you do need to think in it at times. I know, like I said, I completed it. I wanted to get the review out for it going live because I was like for the embargo lifting because I love that much. And there was twice I just got on with a dev on Discord and I was like, "Can you tell me what to do in this puzzle? Because I can't figure it out." And then they tell you, and you're just like, "Oh, was that obvious? Wasn't it?"
Wow, sometimes I overthink things.
Yeah.
So one thing I was hoping that the game would do, and I think it sadly didn't do it, but I always maybe I'm wrong, and it did do it, and I just can't remember. But when it comes to time travel games, I like puzzles that involve time. Like for instance, you find something, you take it to the past, you leave it there, you go out, you go to the future, that thing has now changed into something else over the progression of time because you left it in the past. And I don't think this game does that, but it's kind of something I'd really like in a game.
Yeah, I don't think it does now.
Yeah, but I mean, that concept of leaving something in the past, going to the future, and then finding what you've left there and it's changed because you've left it. Like plant a seed, and then in the future it's a tree. Yeah. And that's how you get up to something by climbing. So if I'm wrong, Yeah, that's exactly what 13 just said. But you know, that maybe in the future, the game, I thought maybe it could do it, but if it didn't, I mean, the concept of the game is amazing as it is.
Yeah.
It's just, I think I went in there expecting, oh, you know, it's a time travel game, you know, that kind of thing. But which it is, but a different type of time travel game.
Yeah, I think the story's good. That idea of the way the puzzles work and the way you've got.
I mean, the game looks fantastic as well. Like at the beginning, also the beginning it feels like a completely different game, doesn't it? You know, you can basically you're going through like a flooded cityscape,
fighting off crocodiles that are attacking you.
Yeah, you know, and it's like wait, this isn't the game. This is like they've made this whole section at the start look like this amazing, and then it's not that, and you're like, well, that's just amazing that is the intro. This entire section that could be a completely different game, just as an intro. And I think I remember while I was streaming that, I had a reward which basically shrunk me down. So I was just like, I felt like I was this head running around because of my scale reward. And that's one of my most vivid memories from that game, you know. Yeah, completely different. Huh?
The only thing that makes it tricky, which if you haven't played it and you think about playing it, always remember where you're leaving stuff, because it's so easy to drop something off in one time travel, do next part, and then maybe need that part again down the line, and then you're like, which memory did I leave that in?
Yeah, I mean, and also the because there's so much detail in the game, you can literally put it down, and you're like, oh, where is it? It's like it could be under this big pile of papers, or is it fallen behind something? It's just, I know what you mean by being able to lose stuff quite easily.
So if you want a good tip of outside remembering it, once you've used it in what you need it for in that memory, I used to always jump back to the room in the building and just lay everything on top of the worktop. So I'd always go back and put it back once I'd used it. So when I know if I need it in the future. When it happened to me once, I think I left something on the moon and realised I needed it somewhere completely different, and I was like, where did I leave that? And I was just jumping to all the memories. After that I was like, once I've used it, I'm taking it back with me and putting it down, keeping everything in the main room you're in.
Yeah, I think I shoved everything on the sofa.
Yeah,
which isn't a great thing, because obviously, you know, I mean, if you're going to lose anything in your living room, it's down the back of your sofa. So I don't know why I chose the sofa. But yeah, no, I highly recommend that game, and I think it was on sale not too long ago, and it might even be coming on sale again in the next. Yeah, I don't know. We got a sale coming up. I think we got this. Steam,
we have a
Steam
winter
sale.
We have a winter sale, don't we? Because the autumn one wasn't. Was the autumn one late this year? Because it seemed like it was late to me. Well, maybe I'm just.
I'm surprised it's not on now.
We'll get the winter one. It's always good after Christmas, spending your Christmas money on things. That.
Yeah, and the credit card that I'm going to get. Yes. So one of the other games I was gonna bring up, which is again, I've mentioned this before, I do horror on Mondays, and one of the only games I played that was released this year, I played a lot of horror games, but was Deadness. And Deadness is it's basically you're in I guess it's an institution, and you're wheelchair bound, and so you know you're literally moving along, moving your arms like this, and that is how you navigate around the world. And it's probably one of the scariest games that I played, but I'm not sure if it's because the game's scary. And the reason why I say this is because I can't differentiate in my memory whether or not it's the viewers redeeming all my horror rewards that I remember being scary, because like I swear most of my scariest moments in VR is when I've had something redeemed in my channel. So I believe it was a scary game, but I can't be sure on this. And I'm not the authority of this, but I really enjoyed it, and it was nice. It was a nice kind of. There were some nice moments in it. You'd basically wheelchair your way around the whole place. Doors would open and shut. You know, you'd find things to unlock the next level. There's scary girls running around and jumping at you and stuff, because you put a scary girl with long hair. That's always gonna give you a chill. and then you got like stealthy parts as well, where you're trying to hide from them, and people were redeeming music in your bloody channel, and you're like, I can't concentrate. But yeah, and then I think at the end, without spoiling it, I didn't expect it to end the way it did. I'm not gonna say where it was, but it was a very interesting surprise ending. I won't spoil it, but I like endings like this, is what I'm gonna say. You know, I mean, it's not really much of a game that I can go into too much great detail about. It was a very much probably a 2-stream, maybe 4 hours, but the environment was pretty good. And once you get used to the wheelchair, like I said, you know. But there were some moments actually that were extremely difficult. Like I think I don't know if you remember this, but there was some hands clawing out of these wall sections, and you had to like duck and wheelchair under the hands and time it right and make sure you know you're doing this, that, and the other. I think I got stuck on that for a fair bit of time, but I got through it. And you know I'd highly recommend it if you want a seated horror game that has got a decent story and quite a fun ending. Deadness, I recommend that one. Yeah.
So there's one I'll go on to. I know they're a very select taste of game, but the games I would always recommend to people is games by My Dearest. They're basically visual novels. Each one's they've learnt more about how to handle it to make it a bit more of a game rather than just a straight up visual novel. And this year they released a Discronia. Episode 1 and Episode 2 came out last Thursday. They're doing it in episodes. Episode 1 was about 8 hours long, so they are long episodes. You will be playing as basically a character, and you can... There's a lot of dialogue in it, and obviously people are going to be talking to you. But the idea of the game is, again... I mean, it sounds like these are my type of games, but you can pick stuff up and activate a memory, go back and watch that memory.
and you can lose it, and you're like, where did I put that?
So you go back and watch your memories. So you might be in a room, and you're thinking, I need to get through that locked door. You'll search the room, you'll find some memory, you'll pick it up, activate that memory, someone will unlock that door in the memory, and then you will end up, basically, you will then know how to unlock that door, so they might show you an idea where... They might go and press something like a button behind a wardrobe, and then you've got to figure out in that world how to move that wardrobe, but the buttons behind it and things like this.
I mean, that sounds like my kind of game, yeah. I definitely would look into this one.
So in the first episode, you're trying to find out the professor who runs the world that you're in has been murdered, and it's your first day on the job as a thingy, and you get given this case to try and figure out who murdered him, basically. That was episode 1, and honestly, I just didn't really know how I was going to enjoy it. I mean, I've liked all the games that did Tokyo Chronos. That one was just a lot of just answering questions and following a conversation. That was a long game. Then they released Alt Days, and that was, again, I think that was about 3 hours of playthrough, but there was about 5 or 6 endings.
Right.
And that became more of a point and click. So you'd be put in the environment, they'd have the conversation, you'd be like, look for points of interest to click on, and then it'll continue the story.
Right, okay.
And if you got into a fight where you have to use the mech, you basically controlled the mech from it. You didn't control the mech. You got mini games to play in order to charge up the guns and stuff.
What's that remind me of? That reminds you of Foul Space, I think it is. Yeah. That reminded me of that, yeah.
In this one, we sort of hit a point where you're doing the investigation, you're travelling back in memories. It's like everyone they've released has stepped a level up of interaction. The stuff you're doing is to make it a game. And yeah, I'm a big fan of visual novels in VR. Even just the watching ones like Spice and Wolf. But the only problem is they're all expensive. And this is why I like the ones that Tokyo Chronos do, because they're long. My Dearest do, because they're actually long. Like Spice and Wolf's like 20 odd quid, but it's a 45-minute thing you just watch. So
yeah, I've never tried those. Yeah, I should probably look into it.
But the My Dearest one's 7-8 hours long, and they're around. I think they normally charge £25 to £30 for them, but the 7 or 8 hours long, even if it's not ones and you've got a bit of interaction in it. But the latest ones, Discronia, they're on the Quest, and they will come to PlayStation VR 2. They've announced, but they're on the Quest only. But they're just a lot more to them. So if you want to try one, I would highly recommend those be the ones to try, really. And that's another game.
I would. Yeah. So probably the last game on my list. Now, I mean, this game is a fantastic game. I wouldn't say I played a lot of it, but what I did play it is a great game, which is Mother Gunship. Now, the full disclaimer, I've only played this game in co-op. Okay, so there is a lot more to it in single player, and I know a man who can talk all about this.
Some nutter in the chat.
With countless hours of single player, but in co-op, they first released it as like just a kind of room wave shooter, and you just sit in the room, and then you don't really do too much, and then I believe they converted what was like single player into co-op as well, which means you go into the room, you shoot all your enemies, you then get an option on what you want to do in the next room, which is either you win like a gun piece, or whether it's health or something like that. And the concept of the game is you then can get more guns or attachments to attach onto your current gun, or your hand, shall I say. It's like a slot, and then that builds up, gives you other slots to then put other guns, and then ultimately you can make this Lego Connect kind of like gun that's like all coming off of each other, like you can have guns shooting up, left, right, down, way forward. I mean, you tend to aim it forward, all these guns, but you can actually aim it anywhere, and you can just build up literally you are the Mother Gunship at the end of it. Now in co-op, it's utterly fantastic, because if you wanted to, and we did this, you could buy all the equipment as you go through the level, and you can throw it to your co-op partner, right? So he's effectively getting twice as much like guns and attachments and stuff for him. Now I would just get one and just stick with it, but I was throwing all my attachments over to Bowl, and I was like, Bowl, make the biggest gun you can possibly make. So he was just like attaching it onto it, and I think he had it was like twice or three times the size of him on the end of his hands of guns, where I was just throwing it at him, and I was like getting him up power-ups. Now I was like Paper Mario and he was Robocop, right? I wasn't doing anything. I was like a pew pew pew, just not doing anything. But Bowl with these like massive guns, as they were, right? It was just destroying the whole place. So it's things like that. It's really cool, and I think there's like I think there's also like a free roam type option where you get a certain amount of attachments and you can attach them on. Now, I think there is a cap, right? I'm not 100% sure of this, but I think there is a cap where once you start going into the later levels and you start getting through, they stop giving you not the gun part, but the connection that allows you to add more guns on. Yeah. So they know what they're doing. They don't want you to make this huge gun that's the size of the room, because you constantly put attachment. So it's a bit kind of annoying that they do that, because I really want to just keep on building. I want a gun that's the size of this studio on my arm, and they won't allow me to do it or anything. And it's like, why? Just break the game. Like, allow us to break the game. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, like 13 saying there is a mode we can do that, but I think there's a limited amount of attachments that they give you. Maybe I am wrong, but I don't see how they could not do that, because otherwise, one of the fun things I made out of it in this game was I called it the vacuum cleaner Dyson gun. It was just a huge kind of like tube that just went out for miles, and at the end it was like this, like a disc shooter. So it just looked like I had a huge Dyson on the end, and just blasting it away. And there's bosses as well. So once you progress through the wave rooms, you eventually get to the end and you fight a boss, and then you get the next one. It's like a next kind of environment. You get through it all, choose your path, and you get to the end, and you can fight another boss. And then I think there's like 3 or 4 bosses, and then there's a bonus boss. I managed to complete the 4 bosses, but we never managed the bonus box because you need to collect the key on the way, and we never managed it. So I've still got one more boss I need to do. Have you played Mother Gunship?
I've not. Again, I've got it in my library.
Always the best thing to do.
Yeah, I've got it in my library. Just again, never played it.
Okay, we're being told that there is a mode where you can just go absolutely crazy with a gun. I may have to revisit that just to see what carnage we can create. But yeah, it's really well polished as well. The game, by the way, really well polished.
I was going to say, I've seen the amount on the screen when, watching Balls for probably out the last 2 months, just playing it on most, not every time, but a lot of the times, and the amount you're getting on the screen, and obviously he's got the amount you're firing, and I've never seen it hit a performance issue or anything.
No, I mean the amount of stuff on there, and I don't think I ever dropped down. I have my headset set to 90 frames a second, and even right now I'm getting 45 in Neos.
Yeah, Neos is very hungry.
Yeah, so mine drops down, but in that game it was just pretty much dead, level at 90 the whole way through. But I and it's co-op. I mean, you know me, I'm big into my co-op games. I'm just waiting for what was it, Everslot to come out with co-op, but that hasn't happened. That was another one of his favourites.
And that's
he spent many hours.
The one that sort of loops back to what we were saying originally. It's sort of the development on the PC want to make a Quest version.
yes, exactly that. But I mean, they do this because that's where the money is, and if they can get more money, and if they swing back and do the PC version, then it's no problem. We'll just do the waiting game. It just upsets me if they don't swing back.
That's amazing.
I can imagine that they're like, why would we go back? We're making all this money. We'll just stick with this. Yeah, that makes sense. And then there's all us lot go, why? They don't love us.
There's really 2 more games from this year I would like to talk about, and we're going to sort of lump them into the same sort of scenario to me. The 2 games that very much divided opinion. The first one we've got is Bone Lab.
Yeah. I played a little bit of Boneworks. I haven't played Bone Lab yet, but I know what you're going to say with this one, yeah.
But it's interesting because I played through Boneworks. I played through the story a couple of times of Boneworks. I wasn't one who ever got into the modding part, which made that game. Apparently, that made Boneworks a lot, and I think that's the area they took it from for this one, because they've sort of dumbed down the campaign. I mean, the campaign in Boneworks wasn't that filled out.
I mean, I heard there was a story, but it's very like written text, a lot of it, and if you blink and you'll miss it, kind of thing.
Yeah,
so maybe I'm wrong, but
so the way they went about the story on Bone Labs is it's a lot of reading. You'll find these documents and stuff to read, and the story is also told through the radio, but you can just walk past the radio and not really notice that's telling you something to do with the story, like random portable radios that are about the place. But the funny thing was, like I said, I got into Boneworks, and I see where they went with Bone Lab. Is the big thing that made Boneworks massive was people making mod videos of them being Spider-Man and all this. And then I think they sort of thought with Bone Lab is the hoping for mods, the hoping the modding community take it on, because it's more about modding than it is what they've done. I mean, obviously they've done great in building the physics engine. I'm not saying they've done nothing, but I think they've sort of moved back on the story a little bit in order to make the hoping it's picked up by modders to fill the game out afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, I heard because it was released, because Boneworks wasn't on the Quest, right?
No, it wasn't.
But Bone Lab is on the Quest, and it's one of those scenarios of you actually notice that it is a Quest game as well while you play it. Now, that's what I've been told, and that's why people who played Boneworks and then played Bone Lab said just play Boneworks. You know, Boneworks is better. Bone Lab isn't as good because you could tell they've done it for the Quest as well, and you don't get as much. I don't know, oomph, maybe, I don't know. But you know, that's some of the comments I've heard. Whether or not that's accurate for everybody, probably not.
Yeah, because I would say I actually preferred Bone Labs over Boneworks.
Oh, okay, right. So then, yeah, not everybody.
Yeah, like I said, it's one that sort of divided people. Like, I just basically I really like the avatar system on Bone Labs. The way they took you're going to unlock avatars down the line, which have different abilities. Although they've got different abilities, you did find that some of the avatars you'd think wouldn't be able to do something could do something.
Right. Okay.
Like you could use a strongman to move this massive. Well, I didn't actually know this because when I got to that part, I was like, I need to be the strongman. I need to be the big robot to move this because it's a massive bolt lock that you've got to pull back and put things in. And then I watched Yamada play it, and he just did it with the general strongman, and I was like, the strongman wouldn't be able to move that. Never mind how strong you are. It's a big, massive metal bolt. Like that's like half the size of that guy's body. He's not going to be able to like lift that up and push it and lock it in place. So I picked this massive robot who does it to do it.
So yeah, so some of the puzzles are depending on your avatar. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah,
or at least it makes it easier.
Yeah, I think what Mike said in the chat there is the perfect thing. I think it got overhyped. It's going to be the next big thing for VR. I know Frill was a massive supporter of it,
right?
And he actually released a video on YouTube a few days ago saying he still believes that it's going to be good when all the mods get more mods and more mods come. But he said he needs, looking back, he did actually 69 days after it was released. So that and he said, looking back, he admits he maybe did overhype it because he was that passionate about Boneworks.
Right, yeah.
Like Boneworks was like the best VR game for him ever released. So he's like a big creator who just got taken in by the hype, but then like spread the hype. And he's actually come out and released a video saying he was wrong in his he's wrong to hype it as much as he did, and maybe it was he was blinded by how much he likes Boneworks.
So one of the things you hear about through people who I don't know maybe haven't played it properly is people saying it is a glorified tech demo, like Boneworks and then Bone Labs. They're like it's like. Boneworks was the tech demo that showed you like what that could be done, and then people thought the Bone Labs would be the final game based on what they learn on Boneworks, but it wasn't. So, but that's not my opinion. That's just opinions I've heard.
No, yeah, you see it around a lot.
But then I went into the Discord and I asked a few questions about it, saying like, "Well, is this actually a game?" I didn't know. Like, is it actually a game? I don't know if it's a game. Is it just a big sandbox? This is Boneworks. Yeah, I was doing this for, and then. People say no, it's actually a game. It just most people don't realize it's a game. It just feels like a tech demo. And then I kind of done the same thing with Bone Lab, and then I just got shut down saying, "Oh, not this again." People coming here asking these questions. I was like, "Oh no, it's not my opinion," but you know, I have heard this.
But yeah, as I found with the Boneworks, it was a very much an opinion or just a tech demo. I think people saw that as well again because. The story was very fragmented in how it was told.
Right, yeah.
So people just didn't think there was a story. You're just going through and trying to get out of this place and killing what you can. And it was lot, like, obviously the guns have the right physics. You need to use two hands. If you're going to pick something heavy up, you have to use two hands and things. But
I mean, Stress Level Zero, they do have like a history of games which have very... like stories that aren't obvious, if you know what I mean. So I think it was is it Duck Hunt?
Duck Hunt, yeah.
Duck Hunt. There, I played that game, and obviously there's like multiple endings. But when you go back in and you read about like everything that's going on in Duck Hunt, you're like, well, I didn't see any of this.
Yeah.
You're like, well, what's it? You know, like what's going on? And then they also linked it to Boneworks and Bone Labs and said like, here, it's all part of the same, you know, universe, and it's like game companies fighting against game companies, and then there's like, you know, they've unlocked this, you know, this Neverworld or something like that, and they're like sucking in the power from it. I'm like, whoa, okay, this is way more complicated than I thought this game had any right to be. Maybe I should play this game.
Yeah.
You know,
One I've never played. I watched Bold play it. I don't even own that one either. I watched Bold play it.
Duck Season, thank you.
Duck Season. Yeah. So I watched Bold play it. I think it was Bold that played it. And it's just one I've never played myself. I've never owned it. Been close to buying it a few times in the sales and then just never got around to it. But it's one that I think I definitely want to play.
Yeah, 100%.
And the final one I'd like to talk about, I said they both fall under this split opinion, is one that came out last week, Hubris. Now, I really enjoyed Hubris, Hubris.
Yeah. I'm worried about buying it just because I've heard that for some people it works great, some people it doesn't. I mean, I'll probably will, but I'm definitely not going to play more than 2 hours just in case.
But one thing I want to put out there is I did really enjoy it. I do think the gunplay gets a bit bland after a while, but when I reviewed it and put everything out there, although I really enjoyed it, I just want to put a caveat out there now. I know because I didn't know anything about it at this point. For $34.99,
it's painful, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know whether or not I'm just spoiled for like release sales, but when the game doesn't have a release sale, it has, in my opinion, it has to be perfect.
Yeah.
You know, they're basically saying we think this game is perfect. We're not going to do a release sale. What you're buying is going to be what it is. You know, I don't know. Did it come? Is it early access or is it just flat out release?
Flat out release.
Yeah. So it's basically all the impressions of this is a polished game. Now, I know we can't say that nowadays because even console games and things like that come out and they're just completely broke, and there's no such thing as a completely polished game anymore.
No.
You know, but I've still got that mentality when a game comes out and the trailers look amazing and there's no release sale and it's expensive. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go into this game and it's going to have to be great. And if it's not great, then yeah, there's a problem. I think that's maybe why I'm kind of hesitant.
Yeah.
You know, like you say, it's an expensive purchase, but I do have the refund system for this reason. I just don't like using it. Don't like using it.
Like I said, I did enjoy it. Like I said, the gunplay got a bit bland. The swimming is the best swimming. The best way swimming's ever been handled in VR. It's like it just works. I mean, perfect.
For that reason, I would get the game because I do like my water in VR.
Yeah. Everything's like the climbing is good. I did say that the mastered every element. The gunplay gets a bit bland. I don't think there's enough variety in the gunplay, but the gunplay works well. I think the aiming's on point and stuff. It's just they could have done a lot more. Like, I said it when I was streaming it on the day it came out. Is I've found that it's probably just best to fully upgrade your pistol. Don't worry about the automatic. Don't worry about the shotgun. Just fully upgrade your pistol. Because when I was reviewing it, I played a bit with the shotgun. It was awful. Just trying to get close range on some of the enemies is like it's annoying. Playing with the automatic, it doesn't do enough damage, and just fully upgrade your pistol. It does damage. It's an alright fire speed. Although it's not automatic, it's easy to keep tapping your trigger and get a decent fire speed from it.
So is there much crafting in the game? Because when I watched some of your streams, there was a crafting machine, but it only seemed to make, I don't know, squidgy kind of elastic.
So you make like things out of, I always call them the wrong thing. Squid tentacles, like a
tentacles. You make tentacles, yeah.
And you make like a very fleshy looking awful thing out of which you climb across. You plug in the one part, throw it into the other bar. The only other crafting is you pick up like printing material. You pick up materials as you're walking around, which you then put into a printer. And then you print the parts for your guns, but they're the only.
Right, so you're basically crafting
you make your
stuff
food
or upgrades.
Yeah, you make
And
your
food,
food.
yeah.
Yeah.
Is it a survival game? Is it one that you can die of hunger? Because I know there's some people that don't
No,
like that. Okay, right.
no. You're just there to heal. So what I found as well on both on like the 2 playthroughs I've done, did it on easy then normal. Just you get to a certain part in the game, like halfway through, and you're in a room, and then you can start making energy drinks rather than food. So you can put the food in, and it makes an energy drink type thing.
Yeah.
And in that room, there's just loads of materials, loads of the plants and stuff you can pick. And then it says before you go to the last part, you better make sure you top up, blah, blah, blah. But at that point, I just made about 25 of these energy drinks. Out of all the stuff I had, and I was like, and I think I used about 7 by the end of it, and I was just like, so it's meant to be hard. You're saying you're obviously making out it's going to be hard because you say make sure you've crafted enough energy, like enough health. But I was like, even on normal, I was like 7 out of the 25 that I'd made. So it's a sort of
So
like it sort of like preps you not to die at the end. That's what I think in a way.
Did you have any glitches like falling through the map or anything like that that few other people had?
No, I did have a part where I probably would have fell through the map, but I was higher up and I kept falling through so I'd walk up a ramp and by accident grab hold of the edge. And then like not realise and pull myself down and then let go and I'd fall back through the ramp and have to run around and go back up the ramp. And I did that about 3 times by accident, like in a row. And I was just like, what to do is fall. But then I realised it's because I was actually grabbing hold of an edge by accident.
Did I think they've released an update or 2 since the release, so maybe they've fixed it. I need to look at the patch notes, but I know they have released something. But yeah.
To be fair, I did when I was reviewing it. I had an issue and they said they were fixing it, but that was normally I was grabbing hold of an edge. I never tried it after it was released. Actually, I should have maybe tried it on my stream. Grabbed hold of an edge, and when you pull yourself in, and it says like you need to move back into your play space, just goes black, which I hate. I hate when games do that.
Yeah.
If I let go, then I would normally just die.
Right. Okay.
Or sometimes fell through the thingy.
So there were some glitches for you, but in the reviewing section.
But they did warn me, like when they sent the review thing off, they said these stuff we're still working on. You might have, like, it might crash on a save file when it's saving. It might crash, and you just have to reboot the game. Like it won't ruin your save file, but you might have to reboot the game to play it. But this is all stuff that was like a week before it came out. They sent me these errors that we're still working on.
Do you know how long roughly the game is supposed to be? Like how long it takes to complete it?
I got through it in 3 or 4 hours.
So the whole thing, yeah, for about 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Like when I got up to my stream, I think I streamed for about 3 hours, and I was basically going on to the last part then.
Yeah, but again, 3 or 4 hours is
for
£35.
Yeah.
You know, and that is a very expensive 3 hours right there, isn't there?
This is what I mean. It's very, like I said, when I reviewed it, I didn't know the price. I just said, this is, they didn't tell anyone the price. And then when I looked when they came out, and I was like $34.99.
I mean, I guess you could assume how much these games cost, and then you're in for the shock as well in a weird way. Yeah, but I will give it a go. I will definitely play about an hour and a half just to check it out, and then decide whether or not it's a game I want to keep or not. But either that or wait to another sale. But it's probably not going to be in this sale.
So one thing I did ask the devs, because I'd seen it was listed on VivePort as coming soon. I asked them before I streamed. I told this on my stream is they are going to release it. Well, it's on VivePort as paid for at the moment. It's like just a general but they said they do plan to bring it to Infinity down the line. They didn't give me a date or anything, but they're planning on putting it on Infinity.
I mean, that's good if you got it.
Yeah. That's basically it.
Excellent. Yeah.
All.
Well, I mean, sorry, before we go, I'm going to spring a question on you, which I know we haven't talked about before. But do you have a game that you're most anticipating next year?
Ooh. Horizon on the PlayStation VR 2.
Yeah, but so before we go to Q&A is what I'm saying, yeah.
Yeah.
I need to get my Q&A. So you'd say that, yeah?
I would say Horizon, yeah, on PlayStation VR 2.
Yeah. So for me, and I'm not sure if this counts as a game, but it's the Walking Dead DLC.
Oh, the Chapter 2.
The Chapter 2. I think that's my most anticipated game of 2023.
Yeah, I've got.
Even if it's not a game, I don't know.
It's its own release. It's its own release.
Yeah.
I've got it on Quest. They sent me it on the Quest. Oh
really?
I haven't delved into it yet, but I've got the Quest version.
Do let me know.
Because it came out on the Quest 2 again. I think last week when same day VRverse came out. I think.
Yeah, no, I've seen a few people have done some releases. Reviews and things like that of their time in it.
Yeah, so Mike in the chat there saying he's finished it on Quest. But yeah, I haven't started it yet. Well, I did a little bit, chopping basically start just to see what improvements are made on the Quest, because the Quest install was 15 gig.
Wow.
And when I was a peasant and only brought a 64 gig one, it's
Well,
like, what do I delete?
Yeah. So I bought. So quickly pivot now. I bought the 64 gigabyte one, and then they released 128, I think, for exactly the same price as I paid for the 64. So I sold my 64 to somebody else at a relatively discounted price to offset the price of a new one, and I think I ended up. But it only costed me about £50 extra to upgrade.
Yeah.
I didn't need it, but it was a good opportunity. And someone else I know has got a VR headset and he loves it.
Yeah.
Just said he played Iron Man the other day and he said it's the best game he's ever played.
Iron Man. Yeah, to be fair, that came out on Quest this year, and I didn't finish it on PlayStation. I hated the controls. I've finished it on the Quest. I jumped in to review it, played that, loved it. The controls, controls actually working, made it the game I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, that's the kind of game. Maybe I should look into that one. But yeah.
So while we're just waiting, if like I said, if anyone's got any questions in the chat at this point, we will open the questions. Anything they've liked.
Yeah, which old vintage game would you want remade into VR?
Ooh.
I mean, I've got there's an obvious answer for me, but I'll let you go first.
So, just like Cole brought it up earlier, and I know it's like the first episode of season 2, and I tried to avoid. I was going to try and avoid talking about it so much, because I think every episode of season 1, I told people to go and buy Jet Island on every episode.
Jet Island's amazing.
Yeah. I know you brought it up earlier. So, an old vintage game I'd love to see remade in VR is Shadow of the Colossus.
Okay. I honestly thought you were going to say the same as me then, but Shadow of the Colossus, yeah.
For that scale of climbing up the Colossus and stuff, and just the scale of that. Jet Island makes me want that now.
Yeah, I'd love a Jet Island too, but that would be good if that came out. For me, it's an obvious one. It always will be an obvious one, but Halo. I don't know if that's old or vintage. I'm not sure if that counts as vintage. I mean, it's quite old.
It's old. It's old in Shadow of Colossus, so a bit of Pong wouldn't be too bad.
If I'm going back even further, have they officially released Mario Kart in VR? I know you can go to arcade machines. What about Mario Kart? I'd like a bit of Mario Kart. Like they did. Star Fox. That's a great idea.
Keep going a little bit further back as well. Well, not as far back as Mario Kart. Rampage. I'd love to climb buildings. Punch holes in buildings. Pick up the postman and eat them.
I mean, just what about Golden Axe? Being the actual characters going around and getting on the dinosaurs and whatever they are. I mean, if we're going vintage, we might as well go all the way back there. I mean, that would be great. I mean, it's all like side scrolling, but turn it to VR. We'll play it.
Let's
Everyone will play it.
give us a Mickey Mouse Castle of Illusion with
Yeah.
where like in the type of moss type of thing, like you're looking over the world.
Yeah. And what about I'm diving deep now, but the Addams Family game on the Super NES. Just all these games. Pong, why not Pong? Did I see a question from Bowl? What is your game of the year and why is it Mother Gun Chip Forge? We did talk about it. Not my game of the year, but it was a good game.
Altered Beast, yeah, that'd be a.
What else is there?
Aside from Jet Island, a hidden VR gem.
Hidden VR gem. You know what? Why did you have to say aside from Jet Island? Damn it!
To stop me talking about it again.
I know. I can't talk about Jet Island, but yeah, that was definitely a hidden gem for me.
Winlands 2. Winlands 2.
Yeah.
I've played that through that. I've completed that about 8 times. Winlands 2. I absolutely love Winlands 2.
I did try and complete Winlands 2, but I think we got stuck, and maybe I did go further than I thought, but it's one of those games where we kept on going back to it, didn't we? Like I was playing it with Bo and you were playing it with the Souls, and then it just and I feel like every time I went back into it, I'd restart my progress. I don't know why. It just felt like that game that never saved for me. I don't understand why that was.
We need to meet you and I'll have to go into it and get you through it. Because I'll play through it again.
It is on the list. We have a list of games to play, and I believe it is on the list up there.
So Mike's put it in the chat there. Tale of Onogoro. Now that is, I completely forgot about that game. That should have been in my games to talk about. That's insane. You've got like puzzles. You control a woman, and you've got to move her to places. So she might be fixing something, then you've got to defend her, or you've got to do stuff to bring like guards up. You've got guns where you've got to shoot things to open gates, and then you get boss fights where you go into, and you've got to fight these big bosses flying over you and stuff. But yeah, that's definitely
I like 13's next question. Dream walkabout mini golf course.
Mine's already happened.
Yeah,
Labyrinth.
Yeah. The thing is, right? I mean, I don't know. Maybe a Indiana Jones type of one. I mean, I would say Star Wars, but that's been beaten to death by everything. You know, that's just a bit kind of. But an Indiana Jones one would be quite good. Maybe a more kind of adult, maybe a Blade Runner or some kind of like, you know, futuristic dystopian level would be kind of cool. You know, I'd quite like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, the Land of Hyrule from was it Zelda? Yeah,
Zelda. Yeah,
that'd be pretty good.
Man, I think the one that isn't Labyrinth, because that's happened.
You just can't get off of it. Yeah. I mean, I'm just trying to think.
Terminator would be a good one. Yeah.
Yeah, Terminator 2 in golf.
Final hole. You could whack it over some lava, and the hand comes up and pulls the ball in. Terminator.
I like Alice in Wonderland. I wouldn't mind scale again. Like imagine a walkabout golf one where, you know, as you go further in, you get bigger or something like that, and then you can see the courses that are massive over there and then little over there. Like when you go into God mode in walkabout and you see all your friends really small. Imagine like that, but you know, actually playing. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah,
I really can't.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah, just some kind of dystopian one for me would do. I mean, it doesn't even have to be based on anything.
Dark Crystal would work. It's a similar.
Dark Crystal.
Similar. To Labyrinth. They'd probably work.
I mean, they'd probably get the license and stuff, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
I mean, if they've got it already.
Yeah, they've got the Labyrinth one. They'll probably not have much fun getting a Dark Crystal one off him. Ooh.
What's the worst game you've played all year? I mean, all right. If we want to talk about worst, are we talking games that we've like actually played or games that are broke? Because like there's so many games that just didn't work and they were bad. But I don't know, maybe a game we were forced to play or something, or we played and got halfway through it and thought, you know what, this just sucks.
I might get some hate for this. I think the worst thing I've played that I was excited for, not something that, like you said, you've just had the chance to jump into and hated it. A game I was really excited for, and I would say it's for that reason it's been one of the standout ones being worse for me this year, and that is Aspire 2.
Is it because you had so much hype over it?
I think that's what I mean. I think it's like one of these games I was looking forward to, because the first one let me down a lot, and the second one it seemed like they'd learned from the first one. And I just played it, and I was just like, I played it through start to finish to review it, and I was just like, it's a bit. It's just, but like I said, I think it's just because I was hoping for so much from it.
I mean, I don't stop me. Did this would be the worst game I didn't play, but it may not have been released this year. I might have, but it was The Walking Dead Onslaught. Or did that come out this year?
No, that came out quite a while ago.
That was a while ago. Yeah, that's the one that sticks in my head. Maybe not this year, but it was a disappointment. I was really looking forward to that game, and I was hyped for it. It was co-op, and then they dropped co-op.
Yeah, they dropped co-op, and I think that's a big mistake they made.
And then the game got released, and it got all the reviews were like, "This is terrible." My hands are all over the place. And I think so. Yeah, Onslaught. It wasn't this year. It's the best I could do, and I didn't even play it, so it's not even the best I could do.
So I went back. Once it had done loads of patches to it, I thought I'm going back to try that. And I did. It's one of these ones that again was good. Had the chance to be something fantastic, and they just took stuff out of it. Now, I thought of one for 13's question earlier, an indie game that wasn't Jet Island that I'd recommend. And it's on Quest. It's going to come to other platforms next year, as was confirmed from Jimmy from End Dreams on the last episode of this. It is with Little Cities.
Little Cities, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is definitely a hidden gem. And I haven't played. I love building games and city building games.
Yeah.
So I definitely give that one a go.
The reason I recommend Little Cities over Cities VR is Little Cities more laid back. You still need to put wind. You need to still generate electricity through wind turbines. You still need to put water things down. But it's not a case of where you need to, like with Cities, they brought it over, kept it real, and you've got to keep dragging. Like you've got to lay the pipes under the path and all sorts to make sure everywhere's got water and stuff. This is just there'll be parts you'll place like a water tower or wind turbine, and it'll give you it's covering this much of the map, and then you need to find and just place one to fill the other parts of the map. And still you've got to build your city and earn resources in order to be able to build the better buildings and give them more homes and stuff. And they're doing a lot of updates to that, as was discussed with Jimmy. They're bringing Little Residence is coming out soon. That I like to put 3 new islands on, which is snow for winter. Early next year, Little Residents are coming, because this is what people want. They want to see people walking around the streets.
Yeah, that's always what I used to like.
It's got all the traffic in Little Cities now, but it never had residents, and they're basically taking all the feedback. The people at Purple Yonder, I mean, End Dreams published it. Purple Yonder made it. It's a 2-person team, a husband and wife. And they're taking all this feedback on. They've asked people what they want to see, and they're making
that's good.
And they're working it in. So they're bringing a Little Residence in, and it's just mad.
Yeah, that's good.
This is one.
Sorry, I'm just going to go back to worst game I played this year. Yeah, probably Alien Dawn. Just thinking about that. It was pretty bad. With me and Bob, we do garbage streams, and that was in there, and that was a perfect contender. So, it wasn't great. But anyway, what were you saying?
There is Mike's in chat there. End Dreams need to make a sequel to Phantom Cover Ops. They do. Especially after the cancellation of Splinter Cell. They need to be jumping on that.
Oh, Splinter Cell. That was one that was going to be so good, and then they cancelled it, didn't they?
They cancelled it, yeah. So, but obviously,
I mean, maybe it was going to not end up being great, but
Like Dreams made Phantom Covert Ops, which is, I like to call it kayak cell VR, because it's basically Splinter Cell, but you're kayaking. You don't get out of the water, but you still got it. But it's like Splinter Cell. What they need to do is now jump on that. Now it's been cancelled. Bring out a Phantom Covert Ops 2. Maybe make it on land and make it just because the stealth in it was outstanding. The work they done the stealth in that. Horizon, what PSVR 2 exclusives looking forward to. So I never got into Firewall, even on PSVR 1.
Yeah, this isn't a question I can answer. So you're gonna have to.
I never. Yeah, and I think the problem was for me when Firewall came out, I was massively into Standout on PC, massively into Contractors. So I didn't play for PlayStation Network because I didn't play anything online. So I was like, I'm not paying £40 a year to play a game I'll jump into every now and then. I'll just keep Contractors and Firewall. And Standout. I don't know whether it's going to stay exclusive, and I think it will, which really
might come to fear.
Which really, really worries me is because of Resi 7. It's not being said it's exclusive, but obviously we've got Resi 8. I know Prey Dog has done a fantastic mod of it, but an official version of Resi 8 VR, PlayStation VR 2. I'm hoping they don't pull it. I'm hoping they don't pull it. Well, even Resi 7 was only a timed exclusive, but then they never put it on anything else after the year ran out.
Sorry, 13 just scared me there. Fortnite coming to VR thoughts. But then Mike reassured me.
Yeah,
it's all good.
Yeah, he came out and I seen the tweet with the story on saying that he's come out and said it's definitely not happening. Which I think, it would have been nice to have Pop 1 have some sort of competition, because Pop 1's just monopolising the first person shooter thing at the moment. Contractors is starting to build up a player base again with all the mods and stuff. But Pop 1's just always the shooter everyone wants to play.
If what genre game that you wish was in VR that wasn't in VR? Like I've got a thought of one, but while you're thinking, I'll tell you what I was thinking of. You remember old school point and clicks like Monkey Island and things like that? I would really like some kind of version of that in VR. Now I don't know how you would do it, but I'd really like that as like a Monkey Island game in VR, like an adventure game.
Yeah.
But how would you do it? That's not. I'm too. I'm not nowhere near and clever enough to think of it. But I'd like something like that.
Yeah. I think what Mike's point one, I'd probably like a proper sports sim.
What kind of like FIFA?
Yeah, like a FIFA, like he's putting Madden would be quite an easy one to do.
Yeah, that would be good.
That type of thing.
Yeah. Get some feet trackers for the FIFA I could do. I think they did release like a football game not too long ago where you could
take
like
penalties and stuff, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was it.
Kicks and things like that. Yeah.
But can you imagine actually playing first person FIFA?
Yeah.
And running around and passing and stuff like that.
But yeah, that'd work. I think a lot of genres have been covered, haven't they? Like. I'd love a Guitar Hero with an accessory. I know Rock Band did it.
Old school turn-based RPG. I guess Demio is close to that. Turn-based RPG. It's not really role-playing game, but it's still turn-based.
Unless like the old type Final Fantasy ones where you've got a.
Oh well.
But yeah, there's not really any that pop to mind. There's quite a lot already out there. There'll probably be loads. What you think afterwards? After there's not.
It's certainly nice in 2022 and coming into 2023. The amount of VR content that is out, it's no longer a fad. I'm putting that down now. It is no longer a fad.
Yeah.
Not that it ever was, but people will still say it. I haven't heard it in a very long time, so that's it. It's done.
Yeah. Not a
More
VR,
DLC
VR is
for.
dead for. We'll take this last question. Yeah. So, what do you want more DLC for?
More DLC. I mean, we're talking new games, old games. I mean,
I think just DLC for any VR game.
I'm just trying to think of some of the games. You know what? I'm gonna say this one, and this actually is a good end. It's not going to happen because obviously there was a problem with the developers in terms of a death, but Ironwolf. Ironwolf, which did actually get released this year officially out of EA. I would love more DLC for that game, but I understand why it didn't happen because out of the two developers, one of them sadly passed away, and the other developer said that he can no longer update the game without changing out the code which his friend created, and he said he's not willing to do that purely because he can't do it. Yeah. So if there was a way to get more DLC into that without him doing that, I would love that to happen. Failing that, sequel. If he's willing to do it, a sequel. Yeah.
So I think that's a good question to end it on. I can't really think of any off the top of my head which I would like to see it for. Which games ever? I mean, I'd like to see more stuff come to stand out and we'll try and build that up again, but that's never going to happen. They're another studio, arcing back to the very first conversation. They're another studio that never finish games and just release loads. Arcing back to the very beginning. They're another studio that have about 5 games on the go and never finish one.
Excellent. DLC for hubris.
So yeah, it's a good place to end that on, I think. So thank you for coming on this again. Thank you for anyone who's joined through this stream. It's season 2, episode 1, new format, live. We will get stuff into obviously hitting. We'll get probably more going on as I get used to doing it live. It probably shouldn't take long to get used to, but I didn't get too many hitches. But yeah, thank you for everyone who joined, and thank you to Cole for joining.
Thank you very much. Apologies if my mic audio was a bit iffy. So apologies for that. But thank you very much for inviting me on.
It might also be that might also be on my side. I might have audio meters wrong, but I'm learning. Learning this live stuff.
Episode 1 is for glitches, and if that's the best, or if that's the worst that's happened, I'd say excellent. Yeah,
definitely. So yeah, thank you for everyone who's joined, and also I haven't done it through the show, so maybe I should do it. I'm used to editing this in afterwards. Also, thank you to Orders Lab, who make O-Shape, Les Mills Body Combat, and Chess Club for being a partner of the VRverse. They've been a partner for a while now. Hopefully over this season, we will be looking to give out more copies of their games. I'm still in conversations with them about where we're going to go with this season with it. We've sorted out the last season, but thank you to them for partnering with the show. We might get a new partner. I don't know what's going on. I need to have we're currently in conversations with them about what we're doing. But make sure to check their games out. They're all different. Obviously, chess is chess. O-Shape is take on hole in the wall, like a rhythm game with a take on hole in the wall. And Les Mills Body Combat is my fitness app of choice if I want to do fitness in VR. But
yep, excellent. Thank you very much. This is I can do this. Thank you, sir.
Well, again, thank you for having me. As we go live, again, Cold is available on the link that Ep.13 just put in the chat. Thank you very much. I was going to say, can someone put his link in the chat? I will sort of shout out. I mean, I'm learning this Twitch stuff as well, so she could have actually done a shout out rather than just putting a link there. We will get this all working. But yeah, again, thank you for joining, and thanks everyone who's joined season 1. Season 2, episode 1. Over on Twitch. We'll go to the end screen. We'll do a raid. So if you wanna claim some synthwave, so when I actually set rewards up, you can gain some from that raid. So goodbye everyone, and again thanks for joining, and thanks to Cole for being a guest on this first episode over on Twitch.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Goodbye.